We often confuse safety with progress, assuming that the environments where we feel the most secure are the ones where we belong. High in the mountains, an ancient temple courtyard holds a massive bronze bell at its center. It has sat silent for years, covered in dust and moss, a heavy monument to stillness. A sparrow discovered the bell's hollow interior and saw it as the ultimate sanctuary. It was thick, metal, and seemingly impenetrable, a perfect shield. She worked for days, carrying twigs and lining the floor with feathers, investing everything she had into this one dark, quiet space. Because the bell never moved, the sparrow assumed it never would. Her routine of singing and resting was built on the belief that this silence was permanent. This illustrates comfort stasis. When an organism stays in a fixed routine, its awareness of the wider environment drops to zero. But zooming out reveals the danger. This safe routine occupies only a minuscule fraction of the world, leaving it completely isolated. The greatest threat to the sparrow wasn't a predator, it was her conviction that this dark space was the only home she would ever need. That conviction was shattered on a morning when the temple monks returned. After years of silence, they decided it was time for the bell to ring again. A heavy beam struck the bronze. The impact sent a violent vibration through the metal, turning the sanctuary into a chamber of pure noise. The force of the sound waves instantly tore the nest apart. Twigs snapped and feathers were scattered, as the very walls the sparrow trusted began to shake her world to pieces. This is systemic shock. The moment an isolated environment is forcefully breached by an outside power. The sparrow wasn't prepared because her world had been closed for too long. Terrified and deafened, the sparrow fled the bell. In a single second, her entire sense of reality had been erased, leaving her with nothing but the open air. It felt like a catastrophe, but it was just the world moving on. Sometimes what feels like a targeted punishment is simply the machinery of life forcing us out of a place that has become too small. The violence of the ringing bell was replaced by a heavy, exhausting silence. The sparrow wandered the valleys, searching for a place that felt familiar, but finding nothing. Without a map or a destination, the search became a struggle for survival. Despair sets in when the place you called home no longer exists, and nothing else has taken its place. This is the internal battle of the displaced, the urge to give up versus the instinct to keep moving, even when the wings are tired and the path is unclear. When you lose your primary sanctuary, the entire future begins to look like a threat because you have no foundation to stand on. This wandering phase is the bridge between two lives. It is the difficult, empty distance that must be crossed when an old identity dies before a new one is born. Following the sound of water, the sparrow left the barren branches behind and flew toward a new part of the forest she had never explored while living in the bell. She found a secret glade filled with berry trees and a sparkling stream. It was more expansive, more vibrant, and more alive than the dark interior of the temple courtyard. She began to build again, but this time she chose stronger branches and better anchors, using the resilience she gained during her time in the wilderness to create a home that could actually endure. The ability to build a better life is often a direct result of having our old constraints removed. We don't find the glade until the bell forces us to fly. Looking out from her new nest, the sparrow finally understood. The ringing of the bell wasn't the end of her world. It was the moment she was finally set free from it. We all build nests in our jobs, our relationships, and our routines. We protect them because they feel safe, even when they are actually keeping us in the dark. Loss looks like a finality, but it functions like an expansion. When a small, cramped circle breaks, its pieces provide the material to build a much larger one. When your world shakes and falls apart, it is not a sign that the story is over. It is the moment you are pushed out into the life that was waiting for you outside the bell all along.